Scotland. The problem that can happen as a result is all of those UK bases are in Scotland, many of the naval bases that control those waters. Russia's controlled, sometimes the Chinese. So having Greenland can be huge for us to put on an American fleet that's on standby.
And that is a great thing to have. And sticking to geopolitics, Justin Trudeau stepping down as the Prime
What
Minister
will
of
we
Canada.
do with this
It's funny,
moment?
as soon as President Trump,
How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
Days later, before you know it, he's not even the Prime Minister.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we, the people, choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing!
American ideal of democracy and equality, and the idea that those values that our country has are the most powerful things about this nation.
After the departure ceremony here, Carter's remains and his family will head to Dobbins Air Base. They'll then be flown to Washington for a week-long memorial. The highlight.
The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, everybody, welcome. We have a Trump press conference due any second. He's looking to take the podium imminently. So everybody's on standby at this point. Didn't know it was coming. Pretty much was an emergency press conference. No notice. Couple of things that may be talked about today. Number one, Jack Smith, who's had his entire case destroyed, is talking about dropping some sort of report to try and stain Donald Trump even further. In addition to that, they filed an appeal yesterday against Judge Merchan up in New York to try and stop that case. So those two things he's probably going to be talking about today. And my voice is still screwed up. In addition to that, in case you don't know, let me be the first to tell you, Don Jr. landed in Greenland this morning. Trump Force One landed. Don Jr. is in Greenland, so he's probably going to get some questions about that. What's this, number 4? Biden doing everything he can to pretend as though this is a peaceful transition, when in actuality, they're trying to submarine the Trump agenda, doing everything they possibly can. As you know, he decided he was going to ban all offshore drilling around the coast of the United States, so I'm sure Trump will address that. And right now at 11:05, got it up here on the monitor, just waiting for Trump to take the stage. I know I sound like crap, but I feel good. I just sound like crap. The voice is the last part to be healed. So it's not a matter of worrying about is Barry going to get sick. Nope, the sickness is over. Every time I get sick, this is the last part of it. So hope you guys enjoyed that interview yesterday with Tim Ballard. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. And we're going to be talking to Ryan Matta in the future. I'm going to talk about that as well. He's got even more information about that. So let me go ahead. I didn't even have a chance to get my my comments up and running here. Let me do that real quick so we can have comments in place while we're doing this. And boom, and turn that on. Here we go. What's going to be interesting about this press conference is normally when he was candidate Trump, the mainstream media didn't even bother to try and cover him. But now that he's president-elect, I understand Chuck Schumer authorized him to get security briefings, so we'll see what happens there as well. So I'm going to go split screen right now so you can see when he comes out. Hold on, let's see here. Just going to make this so we can all see. All right, so this is the split screen so we can see when he comes out. He's not out yet. We're all still waiting for him to show up. Nothing yet. So let's take some comments. Take Stammer down, Elon. Oh, it's working. Great. It's great. Everything is working except my voice, which we shall get through. In case you don't understand what that comment is about, Elon and the Prime Minister of the UK have been going back and forth. How can I say this delicately? What's been going on with little girls and grown men over in England has caused an uproar internationally, as well it should have. And at this point, Elon is taking on the how can I say, the Prime Minister for his lack of adjudication, his lack of doing something about these young girls and young boys being taken advantage of. Disgusting things. God is waiting for them all. Now, yesterday, I did the, the Tim Ballard interview, and I did it over on Rumble because obviously you can't do that here. If you talk about those things, then they flip the switch. Well, yesterday I had two shows. One was a certification show, and then I also did the regular Trump briefing show at 3 o'clock. YouTube shut them both down, demonetized them. I bring that up not to complain because I had to file an appeal and they turned it back on. I bring that up because of what happened with Mark Zuckerberg earlier today. In case you haven't noticed it, I'm going to talk about that in depth at 3:30 today. That's huge. Zuckerberg and Facebook/Instagram have decided they're done with the censorship. I know we need to see it in action first. Let's make sure it actually happens. But it's a huge first step for Zuckerberg to come out and say, you know what? We're done with censorship. We're done with these fact checkers. We're going to do it like X. We're going to have community notes. We're not just going to take stuff down because somebody doesn't like it. We're not going to continue with political bias. To me, that's a huge win for Trump. Huge.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
So it's your move, YouTube. It's on you at this point. You're the only one standing in the way of true progress. Everything that you're doing is just the last vestiges of a sour progressive movement. It's over. McDonald's announced today, no more DEI there either. So all the DEI heroes, they're all falling. Facebook, Instagram, shutting down censorship. YouTube, you need to get with the program. There's a new boss in town, and Trump isn't going to take your crap. So if X and Facebook/Instagram are now on board with no censorship, no political bias, none of this crap anymore. I think what Mark Zuckerberg's vice president said today on Fox, which I'll have it, which is a statement I've always wondered about. If you can read about it in a newspaper, if you can watch it on television news, why the hell can't you talk about it on YouTube? You see, that's where the problem has always been in my mind, both on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. If I can turn on MSNBC or CNN or CBS or anybody, and I can see them talking about it, why can't we have an opinion as to what they're saying as well? Yesterday, all I did was show the certification, Kamala's certification with certain remarks on the side, which is the same what they do on television. And Facebook's vice president said that today. That's going to be the standard. If you can say it on TV, you should be able to say it online. Now, some people are probably going to have a problem with what's coming. I can tell you this. People have equated free speech with being able to say whatever they want. That's not free speech. See, a lot of people have gotten away with swearing. And yes, I have sworn. And I think the FCC says you can't say these certain words on television. So you're going to see some podcasters are going to have to rein in their language. Because if they say something that they can't even say on TV, you may get censored. So understand, free speech is what it is, but it does have limits. You just cannot come out and say something completely inflammatory and embellish or make something up. You can have an opinion. If I think the sky is green, that's my opinion. I may have to, substantiate that. I looked up this morning and it looked green to me. But if I came out and said, hey, listen, XYZ painted it green, I'm lying. Nobody painted the sky. Or if I come out and say, that effing sky, no, you can't say that. So I'm all good with that kind of guidelines and guardrails. I'm okay with that. Thank goodness I can watch you on your channel. Thank you very much. From sunny, warm Florida. Isn't so warm today. Nope. I woke up and it was 50 degrees. And then I had to take the car in after the trip to North Carolina to make sure everything was working okay. Got out the car. After they were done, it was colder than when I went in this morning. But I'm okay. For Zuckerberg, it is too little too late. No, it's not. Don't feel that way. We all have redemption. Imagine if you were judged by what you just said. Yeah, it's too little too late. No, hey, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done it. You're right. Trump's the president. I understand my business interest at this point is probably better. I'm not fooled by that. I know it's a business decision. But at the same time, it's still a win. For the next 4 years, in order to grow this tent and make this tent bigger, this is what we're going to need. Those of you who still have Facebook accounts, I don't know if you're going to be able to get them back. I'm banned off of Facebook. I've been banned off of Facebook for a couple of years. Somehow I'm still on Instagram. They never took my Instagram account away from me. But I'll start posting on Instagram. Let's go ahead and test it. Let's begin showing them, hey, listen, we'll give you a shot. Let's see what happens. He must pay. He was complacent. I mean, come on, man. If somebody turns from their ways and they are embracing something different now, what do you mean? I don't want to hear that. We all deserve some, don't be so hard-lined. We won. We're continuing to win. We are going to need these platforms. YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram. By you shutting Zuckerberg down, you are shutting down an immense network that you can talk and promote the MAGA agenda. Don't cut off your nose to spite your face. Understand, we need this. We need these platforms. This is where a lot of the younger people are looking to, i.e. TikTok. This is where a lot of the older people have been used to, sharing pictures of the family and stuff. Don't abandon it because you're pissed off at Mark Zuckerberg. Facebook lost credibility. We are done. Okay, that's fine. You realize the opportunity? I don't think you're understanding that. You're not understanding the opportunity that now exists. I wonder if Trump is going to talk about it. See, what I've been noticing a lot lately is Trump basically giving people culture shock. You know, brought in RFK Jr., brought in Elon Musk, brought in Tulsi Gabbard, and on and on and on, Vivek Ramaswamy, and it caused people to recoil. Now, if you're saying we are done, but then the boss says, no, we're not done, we're going to use Facebook, what are you going to do? Tell him he's wrong? I'm looking big picture. I'm looking long term. Zuckerberg screwed up. He's back in line right now, supposedly. Why would you not use that platform to grow the MAGA agenda? Just saying. Let's see. Still on Facebook, everyone needs a chance. Yeah, you have an opportunity. Barry, you swung to the left. Wow. I swung to the left. Seriously? I don't even know how to address that. I really don't even know how to address that. Swung to the left? If understanding that this movement only grows by embracing people outside of it is swinging to the left, then your president has swung to the left. The guy you voted for has swung to the left. You see, I'm recognizing what MAGA has as a potential. I realize what MAGA has as the ability to be a dominant political force for decades. I'm not looking back here. It's not about swinging to the left, honey. It's about winning. And I know firsthand about winning. And if winning means bring some of those people who used to be adversarial, who used to be your foes, bring them to your side, I'm all about that. I am not going to shun somebody who wants to listen to a video or lend an ear to something. That's not swinging to the left. That's beating and punishing the nuts on the left. You people, some of you, really need to open your eyes as to what's happening and what's going on. You voted for somebody who wants to make a huge movement. And it's not going to grow if you take a hard line. Many of you, like me, are Christian. Would it be swinging to the left if I went into a prison and talked to a murderer? A guy who may have been an atheist, he's killed somebody, but I'm able to talk to him and say, hey, listen, man, there's a better way over here. I think I can show you a better way through Jesus. Or should I only go to the church and only talk to people in the rows and pews behind me? Those are the only people I should be talking to. That's an obvious answer. We've been commanded. The great commandment tells us, go to the prisons, the drug dealers, the prostitutes, go to them and let them know, here's what's available to you. So all I'm doing is taking my Great Commission and saying the same thing politically. That's not swinging to the left. That's trying to convert. I'm out there trying to convert. I'm out here trying to get as many people into the tent as possible. So I'm going to talk to the wayward out there. I'm going to talk to the people who have lost their way and say, hey, check this out. You're going to get better gas prices. You're going to get more protection. Your grocery prices are going to go down. You're not going to have your kids playing against other kids. You know what I'm saying. they need to be talked to. They need to be embraced. So if that's swinging to the left, wow, where was Karen when Trump adopted Vivek, Elon, and Tulsi? Man, there are some hardliners out there, but they're going to die off. You watch, mark my words, here's what's going to happen. Over the next 4 years, there's going to be an ultra-right faction that's going to try and grow and take on MAGA because they're not going to like what Trump is going to do. I even had some people say yesterday, well, we shouldn't take on Canada. If we took Canada on, it'd be bringing in like a blue state, a giant blue state. I'm like, really? You don't understand what that would do for the America as a whole? I'm sure Trump would think about the ways to make sure it's not 2 more blue senators. Come on, man. Barry's got 2 right hands. Ain't nothing left about him. Nah, I am not swinging to the left. I look at my Bible, I look at my political stance, and I'm thinking to myself, we have so much opportunity. I am not going to close off my eyes to something when there's an opportunity. If that were the case, I would never have started a channel on YouTube. You have no idea, and I do mean no idea, what I've had to go through, what I've had to endure to make this work. Yesterday wasn't the first time they've clicked off 2 videos. I posted a video that RFK Jr. had mentioned, and I did some commentary on it, and it was about what happened to his uncle. They didn't just demonetize it, they took that down and gave me a strike. I'm like, it's on the news. He's riding in the car, his head gets exploded. It's on the news. Well, we don't want you doing that here. I can tell you, it's gotten, I'd say from, I don't know, May to September, it got really bad. It was the point where it was just constantly uphill fighting. The closer we got to the election, the harder it got. I had to change certain words, as you know, and I kept fighting through it. So why the hell would I do all that, help Donald Trump get elected, and then turn away and turn left? Wow. Barry, keep hitting the nail on the head. If you've ever grown a business, if you've ever, actually sat and said, written a business plan and said, here's where I want to go, you are never going to survive on a current customer base. There's not a single business out there that has made it successfully who says, I'm only going to sell to these people, and I don't want any of these people buying my stuff. Said nobody ever. That's the whole reason for advertising. You want to keep the current customers coming back, and you want to bring in more customers. And then you have to fight off the competition and everything else. They teach you that in, I think, Business School 101. I want what Trump wants. I listen to what he says. Listen to what he says today. Listen when he comes out, what he says today. I don't have a script. I have no idea what he's going to discuss, but I would venture to say he's going to talk about Jack Smith. He's going to talk about Judge Merchan. He's going to talk about the oil drilling ban. I think he might even bring up Mark Zuckerberg. By the way, if I'm swinging suddenly left by saying, hey, listen, let's give Facebook a chance, what do you think about Dana White? Dana White, who embraces, actually it's a mutual embrace. Trump and he embrace each other. He's always at the UFC fights with Dana White. Do you know how far Mark Zuckerberg has gone? Mark Zuckerberg added some seats to the board of Facebook. Guess who is now on the board of Facebook? Yeah, that'd be Dana White. I was going to wait and let you know that this afternoon, but I might as well just tell you now. Dana White is on the board of Facebook. Did Dana White suddenly turn left? Or is Dana White saying, hey, this is an opportunity? It's an opportunity from my political stance. It's an opportunity from a business perspective. It's an opportunity from an American perspective. You are foolish, and I'll say that word. You are foolish if you close the door to opportunity. My dad raised me enough to know that. You do not close the door to opportunity. Donald Trump is making his way out right now, so let's go ahead and cut to that.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be with you. Many things are happening that are exciting, very exciting for our country. And we're honored to welcome one of the most respected business leaders in the Middle East, indeed the world. He's a founder and chairman of Damac Properties, Hussein Sejwani, very respected gentleman. And I'm thrilled to announce today that Damac will be investing at least $20 billion over a very short period of time into the United States, and they may go double or even somewhat more than double that amount of money. It's a great thing, and I believe he will say that he's doing it because of the fact that he was very inspired by the election. They wouldn't do it without that election, I can tell you. A lot of people wouldn't. You saw last week where we have somebody who's going to go from $100 to $200 billion, and we have many other people, and we'll be bringing some of them out. Some of them like to do it somewhat more quietly, and some don't, and they feel so strongly about the country that they want to let people know about it. But it's an honor to have such a great investor investing in our country. The investment will support massive new data centers across the Midwest, the Sunbelt area, and also to keep America on the cutting edge of technology and artificial intelligence. He's very big into the data centers, and that's going to be a very hot item in the coming years, as you know, with AI. In particular, the first phase of the project will be in Texas, Arizona, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Ohio, Illinois, Michigan, and Indiana, those places. And Hussein, I'd love you to come up and say a few words. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's been amazing news for me and my family when he was elected in November. We've been waiting 4 years to increase our investments in U.S. to a very large amount of money. We are a company operating in more than 20 countries around the world. We have delivered more than 45,000 luxury units and another 45,000 in the pipeline. In data center, we are in 10 countries around the world, in Asia, Europe, and Middle East. And we're very, very excited now with his leadership and his open strategy and policy to encourage businesses to come to U.S. For the last 4 years, we've been waiting for this moment. And we're planning to invest $20 billion and even more than that if the opportunity in the market allow us. But at the moment, we're planning $20 billion in data center, catering for the AI and cloud. Another 45,000 in the pipeline. In data center, we are in 10 countries around the world, in Asia, Europe, and Middle East.
In terms of environmental, if you invest over $1 billion in the United States, we're going to give expedited reviews to everybody because everyone's afraid they're going to come in and get caught in the quagmire, which is very prevalent in the United States, unfortunately, the quagmire of environmental and various other regulations and rules. And I made it a point of telling people if you invest $1 billion or more, and we'll do this for people with far less too, but we guarantee it. We're going to move them quickly through the environmental process. Sometimes people held up 12, 13, 14, 15 years. I saw it with plants in Louisiana where I got it approved in literally a week. They were through the review in 1 week after spending 14 and a half years trying to get it, and they were going nowhere. It was a terrible thing. So I've been a victim of that myself over the years. And I think I know all the games and all the tricks that are played. And much of it is just done to stop progress. So we're going to be helping you and everybody else that comes to the United States and wants to invest their money, that you don't get tied up for the rest of your life and you can't do anything. This commitment further underscores that many of the greatest business leaders on earth are seeing a very bright economic future for America since the election. As you know, a lot of positive things have happened. We are inheriting a difficult situation from the outgoing administration, and they're trying everything they can to make it more difficult. Inflation is continuing to rage, and interest rates are far too high. And I've been disappointed to see the Biden administration's attempt to block the reforms of the American people and that they voted for. We had a landslide election. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of people. Nobody even knows how many people, millions. And they're still counting in some areas. You know, they're still counting the vote in some areas. Can you believe this? What a place. What a horrible place. One of the things we're going to do is we've got to fix the election so that we get honest counts and they get done by 10 o'clock in the evening or something thereabouts. They have places where they're still counting votes. President Biden's actions yesterday on offshore drilling, banning offshore drilling, will not stand. I will reverse it immediately. It'll be done immediately. And we will drill, baby, drill. And we're going to be drilling in a lot of other locations. And the energy costs are going to come way down. They'll be brought down to a very low level. And that's going to bring everything else down. That's what caused it to go up, along with the ridiculous spending on the Green New scam. All this money, trillions of dollars. It's like throwing it right out the window, what they're doing. And they're trying to spend so much now. They're just taking money and giving it to anybody that wants it for any project at all, if it's certified under the Green New scam. And they don't work, and it's too expensive. And, they told me that we're going to do everything possible to make this transition to the new administration very smooth. It's not smooth because they're doing that. They're playing with the courts, as you know. They've been playing with the courts for 4 years, probably got me more votes because I got the highest number of votes ever gotten by a Republican, by far, actually, by a lot. And, we had a great election, so I guess it didn't work. But even to this day, they're playing with the courts. They have their friendly judges that like to try and make everybody happy on the Democrat side. It's called lawfare. It's called weaponization of justice, and it's happened at a level nobody's ever seen before. So many. I defeated deranged Jack Smith. He's a deranged individual. I guess he's on his way back to The Hague, and we won those cases. Those were the biggest ones, and the press made such a big deal out of them, but we did nothing wrong. We did nothing wrong on anything, and the people saw that. When they vote, when a Republican, it's not easy for a Republican. When the Republican wins the popular vote by millions and wins all 7 of the swing states, people said, well, he could win 4. We won all 7, and we won them by a lot. That tells you we won. And they've been watching this injustice. I call it the Injustice Department. What they've done is so bad. The whole world has watched that. And it took work, but it got me a lot of votes because when explained, we have a judge in New York who's a very crooked judge. I'm under a gag order. I can't even talk about aspects of the case that are the most vital aspects. I'm under a gag. Do you know that I'm the president-elect of the United States of America? I'm a former very successful president. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We had borders that were sealed and beautiful. Everything was good. We had no wars. We defeated ISIS. We had no wars. Now I'm going into a world that's burning with Russia and Ukraine, with Israel. You took a look at that attack on October 7th, the attack on Israel, with the horrible way they got out. Not the fact that they got out. I would have been out before them. But we would have been out of Afghanistan with dignity and strength as opposed to looking like a bunch of fools with 13 dead and many, many badly, horrifically injured. Nobody ever talks about them. No arms, no legs. Nobody ever talks about them. The way they got out was outrageous, leaving billions of dollars of brand new military equipment that I bought in the hands of the Afghans and specifically the Taliban. It's the group. And we were doing very well. We would have been out. We would have been respected. I think it's one of the reasons it was so badly handled, that withdrawal where people are jumping onto airplanes, falling off the sides of airplanes when they're 3,000 feet in the air. And nobody's ever seen anything like that, the worst. And because of that, I think Russia went and attacked Ukraine. When they saw that, they said, these guys are incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. But we know what we're doing now. And that's going to all end. And we have a great military. I defeated ISIS. As you know, we're in no wars. I just finished a couple. And we got also our soldiers guarding Syria and Turkey. We're in the middle. We had 5,000 soldiers that would have been gobbled up with two armies. We had one army, 300,000. We had another one, 500,000 or 600,000, getting ready. We had 5,000 people in the middle. I said to a general, how do 5,000 people do in that case? And the general just looked at me and said, not well, sir, not well. And I took them out. And you know what happened? Nothing. I got criticized. I saved 5,000 lives, actually. And we did a great job, and we're going to do an even better job because now we have a tremendous amount of experience. We have people that I can rely on. But the 625 million acres, people can't realize, it's like the whole ocean. Take an acre. You know, an acre, you have a house on a half an acre, on a quarter of an acre, or an acre. If you have an acre, you have a big deal. Now you multiply that by 625 million acres. It's like, feels like the whole ocean. And that's our strength, you know. People can say we manufacture, we don't manufacture. The thing we have oil and gas more than anybody in the world. And we're going to have more of it, too. But they took away 625 million acres of offshore drilling. Nobody else does that. And they think they have it, but we'll put it back. I'm going to put it back on day one. I'm going to have it revoked on day one. We'll go immediately if we need to. I don't think we should have to go to the courts, but if we do have to go to the courts, you know, they try to be sneaky. They go in and they sign. Remember, this is a man that said he wants the transition to be smooth. Well, you don't do the kind of things. You don't have a judge working real hard to try and embarrass you. Because I did nothing wrong. By the way, I did nothing, absolutely nothing wrong. If I did something wrong, I wouldn't be standing here right now because I've won all these cases. Nobody's ever won so many cases as I have against the Justice Department. I mean, Jack Smith had cases all over the place. People were being subpoenaed. Lives were being ruined. They were spending everything they had, money. We were helping them out. We had to. They were subpoenaing people that had no idea what they were even talking about. That's a sick group of people. And it was all to influence the election. It was all a fight against a political opponent. We've never had that in this country. We have had that in certain countries. We've had that in third-tier countries. We've had that in banana republics, but we've never had that in a place like the United States. I don't even know if it's been on a small level. I'm sure it has been on a small level, but this was the largest level ever. They brought this moron out of The Hague. He's a mean guy. He's a mean, nasty guy. His picture was perfect because you look at his picture, you say, that's a bad guy with his robe, his purple robe. And he executes people. He shouldn't be allowed to execute people because he'll execute everybody. He's a nut job. But we won all of those cases with him. And, I mean, I don't know the judge in Florida, but we had a brilliant judge in Florida that saw right through it. And we won the case. She was a brilliant judge with great courage. You know, the left, as we call them, the radical left, they have a way, they play the ref, and they play it very hard. They play the ref. They go and say horrible things about judges and prosecutors. And some judges and prosecutors say, look, the only way I'm going to get these people off my back is to give victory to them. They're playing the ref. I think it's illegal what they do. It's almost like talking. It's worse than talking to a judge. But the judge in Florida, Judge Cannon, was brilliant and tough, and she didn't stand for it. And I don't know her. And never met her until the case, and I don't believe I said even one word to her. But she was very, very strong and very, very brilliant. And her opinion was so brilliant that they dropped their appeal. They couldn't beat the appeal. So that's what we're up against. So they say we're going to have a smooth transition. All they do is talk. It's all talk. Everything they do is talk. We're going to have a smooth transition, and then they take 625 million acres and they essentially landmark it so you can't ever drill there again. Well, we're going to be drilling soon. We're going to be opening up Anwar. We're going to be doing all sorts of things that nobody ever thought was even possible. But remember and just to get off the subject, because I couldn't believe it when I heard it yesterday, I couldn't believe the size of it. I mean, you put down a map and put this up, it's just massive. And remember that that's worth probably, I mean, I've had estimates, $40 to $50 trillion. That's more than our national debt. Essentially, he's thrown it away. He's thrown it away. He's taken $50 trillion. So if we owe $35 trillion, he's taken $50 trillion of value and thrown it right out the window. We can't do that. Nobody can do that. One other thing he did yesterday, which was in many ways worse. It's hard to believe it can be worse. He wants all gas heaters out of your homes and apartments. He wants them to be replaced by essentially electric heaters. I don't know what it is with electric. This guy loves electric. We're going to be ending the electric car mandate quickly, by the way. This guy loves electric. And we don't have enough electricity. And then we have AI where we need more. And he wants everybody to have an electric heater instead of a gas heater. Gas heater is much less expensive. The heat is much better. It's a much better heat. As the expression goes, you don't itch. Does anybody have a heater where you go and you're scratching? And that's what they want you to have. They don't want you to have gas where you don't have the problems of the electric. And the source is plentiful. They're much cheaper to operate. They're much better. They work much better. They look much better. 60% of homes and apartments have gas heaters. He wants them all removed quickly. These people are crazy. There's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with them. They also want to go back, and they have already started that, to when you buy a faucet, no water comes out because they want to preserve. Even in areas that have so much water, you don't know what to do. It's called rain. It comes down from heaven. And they want to do, no water comes out of the shower. It goes drip, drip, drip. So what happens, you're in the shower 10 times as long, you know. No water comes out of the faucet. You want to wash your hands. They want to go back to even stronger than what they have right now. As you know, I ended that policy. You can have all the water you want. Makes no difference. It comes weird, especially in certain areas. We have so much water, we don't know what to do with it. But these are all things. They want very, very little water to go into your dishwasher, almost none. And you know what people do? They just keep pressing, keep it going. They end up using more water. Likewise, washing machines, they want in your washing machine to have very little water coming out of the washing machine. So when you wash your clothing, you have to wash it 4 times instead of once. You end up using more water. We're a party of common sense, and things that I'm telling you now is really all about common sense. On January 20th, we'll turn the economy around very quickly, because right now when I think of our economy, I think about inflation. That's what we have. We have inflation, I believe, at a level that we never had before. There's never been anything like it. And over the next 4 years, the United States is going to take off like a rocket ship. But really, it's already doing it. If you take a look, just last month, SoftBank announced the $200 billion. I think it'll be 200. He said between 100, and I said, how about making it 200? And he sort of said yes, but let's say it's 100, but it might be 200, right, Brian? Dollars, United States, creating more than 100,000 jobs. Hussein just announced a tremendous investment that he's going to make, and that's money that's in the bank. He's going to come and do it, and he'll do a great job, and he'll build the best centers in the country, I guarantee, because I know the way he builds. Since my election, the stock market has set records. The S&P 500 index has broken above 6,000 points for the first time ever, never even close. In a single month, small business optimism soared 41 points. It's not a 41. It went up 41 points. And that's the largest in the 39-year history of the group that does it. According to Gallup, the American people's confidence in the economy has just surged to the highest level in history. That's why I have a news conference like that. I take the greatest business leaders in the world. I say, hey, do you want to say you're going to invest the money? They're not looking for news conferences. They're saying, what am I doing here? They go in and they invest money, but it's good to know where the smartest business people in the world are investing, and they're investing in the United States. So we've done this all in 2 months of not being there. We haven't been there. And it's pretty amazing, and we think we're going to do some really great things, really great things. We're being respected again all over the world. The Panama Canal is a disgrace, what took place at the Panama Canal. Jimmy Carter gave it to them for $1, and they were supposed to treat us well. I thought it was a terrible thing to do. It was the most expensive structure ever built in the history of our country, relatively. It would be the equivalent of substantially over $1 trillion today. We lost 38,000 people. Think of it, 38,000 people, they died from malaria, mosquitoes. They were unable to stop the mosquitoes. They paid people 5 times more to take the job. Many of those people died. We gave it away for $1. But the deal was that, they have to treat us fairly. They don't treat us fairly. They charge more for our ships than they charge for ships of other countries. They charge more for our Navy than they charge for navies of other countries. They laugh at us because they think we're stupid, but we're not stupid anymore. So the Panama Canal is under discussion with them right now. They violated every aspect of the agreement, and they morally violated it also. And they want our help because it's leaking and not in good repair. And they want us to give $3 billion to help fix it. I said, well, why don't you get the money from China? Because China's basically taken it over. China's at both ends of the Panama Canal. China's running the Panama Canal. And they come to see this Biden, this guy who should never have been allowed even to run for president. Of course, she shouldn't have either, because that never happened. I had to be 2 people, not 1. But they want $3 billion to fix the Panama Canal that's run by China and makes a lot of money, China. One of the most profitable structures ever built, because you have ships lined up back to Florida, frankly, and they just keep going through, and the numbers are staggering, $500,000 to $1 million a ship. And they took it away from us, meaning we gave it to them for $1. But not going to happen. What they've done to us, they've charged us, they've overcharged our ships, overcharged our Navy. And then when they need repair money, they come to the United States to put it up. We get nothing. Those days are over. Working with the Republican majorities in Congress, will cut taxes, slash regulations, raise wages, and boost incomes at a pace the world has not seen before, and certainly not from our country. We had a big chunk of it for the first 3 years prior to COVID coming in my administration. We had the greatest economy in history. We cut the most regulations in the history of our country, and I did that all in 4 years, by 4 times more than any other president cut. We did that in 4 years, and we were just getting started. We'll impose new tariffs so that the products on our stores will once again be stamped with those beautiful words, made in the USA. And we are not treated well, as you know, by Canada. Canada is subsidized to the tune of about $200 billion a year, plus other things. They don't essentially have a military. They have a very small military. They rely on our military. It's all fine, but, they got to pay for that. It's very unfair. I have so many great friends. One of them is the great one, Wayne Gretzky. I said, run for prime minister. You'll win it'll take 2 seconds. But he said, well, am I going to run for prime minister or governor? You tell me. I said, I don't know. Let's make it governor. I like it better. But no, something's going to have to be done. Same thing with Mexico. We have a massive deficit with Mexico, and we help Mexico a lot. They're essentially run by the cartels, and can't let that happen. Mexico's really in trouble, a lot of trouble. Very dangerous place. And we're going to be announcing at a future date pretty soon. We're going to change, because we do most of the work there, and it's ours. We're going to be changing, sort of the opposite of Biden, where he's closing everything up, essentially getting rid of $50 to $60 trillion worth of assets. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate. And Mexico has to stop allowing millions of people to pour into our country. They can stop them. And we're going to put very serious tariffs on Mexico and Canada, because Canada, they come through Canada too. And the drugs that are coming through are at record numbers, record numbers. So we're going to make up for that by putting tariffs on Mexico and Canada, substantial tariffs. And we want to get along with everybody, but, you know, they have to, it takes two to tango. We're approaching the dawn of America's golden age. It's going to be a golden age for America. We have things that nobody else has. We have more natural resources. We have, number one, nobody knew that until I came along. I made us number one. We're number three. I made us number one in a very short period of time in drilling. And, you know, you can talk about windmills. They litter our country. They're littered all over our country, like dropping paper, like dropping garbage in a field. And that's what happens to them, because in a period of time, they turn to garbage. Most expensive energy ever. They only work if you get subsidy. The only people that want them are the people that are getting rich off windmills, getting massive subsidies from the U.S. government. And it's the most expensive energy there is. It's many, many times more expensive than clean natural gas. So we're going to try and have a policy where no windmills are being built. You know, off the coast of New Jersey, they want to build like 200 windmills. The people are going crazy. Nobody wants them, and they're very expensive. They don't work without subsidy. You don't want energy that needs subsidy. Energy is a good business. You don't need subsidy. But when you build these massive towers, and they're 25 stories tall, 40 stories. They have 170 stories tall. The blades, they take 3 ships to ship them. It's crazy. They're dangerous. You see what's happening up in the Massachusetts area with the whales, where they had 2 whales wash ashore in, I think, a 17-year period. And now they had 14 this season. The windmills are driving the whales crazy, obviously. And they had actually over, I think, 125 or something over a number of years. And we don't want that to happen. It's a disaster it's amazing the way a true environmentalist would say, oh, we love wind. It sounds good, but that's about where it ends. You know, after 10 years, you have to redo them. And what happens is they don't do that. They let them stand and they rust, and they say, because of the environment, I'm not a believer in this, but they say you can, because it's a certain fiberglass, that the blades cannot be buried in earth, that's an environment. So what do you do with them? What do you do with them? And I don't know if you've ever gone to Palm Springs, California, or any of these places where you have long-term windmills standing. They're a disaster. They're rusting, rotting, closed, falling down. This is as you enter Palm Springs. And they put new ones next to them because nobody wants to take them down, because why should they take them down? It's very expensive to take them down, and you can't do anything with them because the blades, you can't bury them because of the environmental protection. We'll look at that. Doesn't make sense, but that's what they say. So we are at the beginning of a great, beautiful golden age of business. And I think we're also at a golden age of common sense, because everything I'm saying to you, from a simple water faucet that doesn't allow water to come out appropriately, to all of the other elements of what we do and what we're going to do, to take $50 to $60 trillion off our country's balance sheet because some man that has no idea what he's doing, has no idea. You know it, I know it, the Democrats know it. What they did is a crime by allowing that to happen. And I'll bet you, if you asked him today, how much acreage did you submit? Essentially, did you destroy? You destroyed the economic viability of drilling in the ocean. And with AI coming along and all, you know, a lot of people don't realize that AI is going to be a big thing, but you'll need double the electricity at least that we have right now. So right now we produce electricity for many, many different things. AI is a very big deal in terms of the future. China is already building electric facilities, big, bold electric facilities. And you know how they're being fired up? With coal. They're being fired up with coal. And we're going to build bigger and better ones. People like Hussein that are doing the same thing as he is. I'll bet they don't do it as well because I know how he does it, but they're doing a lot of things. The problem is they can't get their permits because I say build the plant with the building. So with the structure, build the plant, because if you go into grids are old. So they said, that's a great idea. In other words, build your electric facility alongside of your plant. And you could have extra output if you want, because once you build it, you can make it larger pretty inexpensively. You could have extra output, which you'll sell to the public, but build it with the plant, and people are loving that idea. So we're going to have a lot of fun making America great again, and it's going to happen, I think, very, very quickly. It's already happened. So I would say this, and this has been pretty openly reported by the news. There's never been anything like what's happened in the list since we won the election. Couple of months since we won the election, the whole perception of the whole world is different. People from other countries have called me. They said, thank you. Thank you. The perception of the whole world is different. We're going to have to settle some big problems that are going on right now. We're going to have to settle up with Russia, Ukraine. That's a disaster. I look at numbers every week, the number of people being killed in that war. People don't know, mostly soldiers now. But the towns have been obliterated. This was a Biden fiasco that that should have never happened. If we had a real president, if we had a president that knew what he was doing, Russia would have never, ever gone in. But they did go in, and we have a mess. The cities are all blown up. The people have largely left. And the soldiers are killing each other at levels that haven't been seen since the Second World War. So we'll have to get that one straightened out, too. That's a tough one. Much tougher than it would have been before it started, I can tell you that. The deal could have been made just by an average deal maker. Deal could have been made on that. So thank you all for coming. We'll take a couple of questions. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
President, thank you. Wanted to touch on the world on fire that you mentioned, but let's start, if we could, with your references to Greenland and the Panama Canal, so forth. Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No.
And can you tell us a little bit about what your plan is? Are you going to negotiate a new treaty? Are you going to ask the Canadians to hold a vote? What is the strategy?
Yeah, I can't assure you. You're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this. We need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something. Look, the Panama Canal is vital to our country. It's being operated by China. China. And we gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China. And they've abused it. They've abused that gift. It should have never been made, by the way. Giving the Panama Canal is why Jimmy Carter lost the election, in my opinion, more so maybe than the hostages. The hostages were a big deal. But if you remember, and nobody wants to talk about the Panama Canal now because, it's inappropriate, I guess, but because it's a bad part of the Carter legacy. But he was a good man. Look, he was a good man. I knew him a little bit, and he was a very fine person, but that was a big mistake. Giving the Panama Canal to Panama was a very big mistake. We lost 38,000 people. It cost us the equivalent of $1 trillion, maybe more than that. Probably the most expensive, they say it was the most expensive structure, if we call it a structure, which I guess you can, ever built. And giving that away was a horrible thing. And I believe that's why Jimmy Carter lost the election, even more so than the hostages. Those two things.
If I could follow up on Ukraine and Iran, the two negotiations you'll be heading into. On Ukraine, you said just before it's a lot more complicated now.
Much more complicated.
Do you believe...
Because it would have never started.
Right, but it has started.
Well, not only started, the cities are largely knocked down.
So you've got what you've got. At this point, to hold on to leverage in dealing with President Putin, would you make a commitment to the Ukrainians that you will keep supporting them during the negotiations?
Well, I wouldn't tell you if that were the case.
Would you make a commitment to provide a security guarantee if they do enter into an armistice or a ceasefire along the lines that the French and the Germans?
So, a big part of the problem was Russia for many, many years, long before Putin said you could never have NATO involved with Ukraine. Now, they've said that. That's been like written in stone. And somewhere along the line, Biden said, no, they should be able to join NATO. Well, then Russia has somebody right on their doorstep, and I could understand their feeling about that. But there were a lot of mistakes made in that negotiation. And when I heard the way that Biden was negotiating, I said, you're going to end up in a war. And it turned out to be a very bad war. And it could escalate. That war could escalate to be much worse than it is right now.
They can never join NATO.
Well, my view is that it was always understood. In fact, I believe that they had a deal, and then Biden broke it. They had a deal, which would have been a satisfactory deal to Ukraine and everybody else, but that Biden said, no, you have to be able to join NATO. And that's always been, and nobody knows more about NATO than I. You know, years ago, when I first started this, I didn't know too much about NATO, but I got it right anyway. I said, they're taking advantage. I'm the one that got, and the Secretary General was here, as you know, 2 weeks ago, saying that if it weren't for me, NATO wouldn't even exist right now, because I raised from countries that weren't paying their bills. At that time, 28 countries, 20 of them were not paying their bills, 21 to be exact. They weren't paying, or they were paying a very small portion. And I raised over $680 billion. That was the number he gave, by saying, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you. And as soon as I said that, the money came pouring in. But Obama could have said it. Other people could have said it. Bush could have said it. Nobody said it but me. I took a lot of heat. They said, oh, that's a threatening statement. Well, they weren't paying their bills. I said, we're not going to protect you if you're not paying the bills. So in a true sense, I saved NATO, but NATO's taken advantage of us. And one of the problems that I have, and I've said it openly, I said it to President Zelensky, Europe is in for a tiny fraction of the money that we're in. Now, whether you like that situation or not, Europe is much more affected than the United States. We have a thing called the ocean in between us, right? Why are we in for billions and billions of dollars more money than Europe? And, you know, they're a similar size, a little smaller, but they're a similar size economy as the United States when you add them up. And yet Europe is in for a small fraction of the number the United States is in. Now, Biden could have called them up during the term. That's what I did. I said, you have to pay your bills. And they all, one stood up. I won't say who, you'll probably have it, because the papers, the media hated to report on it. But a prime minister stood up from a country, you know, a famous meeting of 28 nations with no press, no anybody in the room. He stood up, he says, does that mean if we don't pay our bill, and at that point it was 2%, it should be 5%. It should be 5%, not 2%. But at that point it was 2%, but many people didn't pay. Some people didn't pay anything. But many people were way, including Germany. Germany was at less than 1%.
You're going to press for 5%?
Well, I think NATO should have 5%, yeah. Well, you can't do it at 2%. I mean, at 2%, every country, if you're going to have a country in a regular military, you're at 4%. I think they should be, you know, they're in dangerous territory. I think it should be, they can all afford it, but they should be at 5%, not 2%. I'm the one that got them to pay 2%. But a gentleman stood up, a prime minister stood up, and he said to me, sir, could I ask you a question? You're saying we have to pay our bills. If we don't pay our bills, will the United States protect us from Russia? I said, if you don't pay, you mean you're delinquent? He said, yes. He said, if you're delinquent, we will not protect you. I took a lot of heat. Although it was somewhat closed door, I took a lot of heat from the media. And you know what happened? The money started pouring in. That's why NATO has money. And the Secretary General said it was the most incredible thing he had ever seen in a negotiation. Now, if I would have said, yes, we will, nobody would have paid. If I would have loved to say, yes, we'll protect you even if you don't pay. But that's not the way life works.
Mr. President, two questions related to each other. First, you said on your first day of office, you're going to pardon January 6th defendants. Are you planning to pardon those who were charged with violent offenses?
Well, we're looking at it, and we have other people in there. And as you see, I guess 24 or 28 people came now from the FBI. That came out very quietly. Nobody reported it, but they had people in some form related to the FBI. They had 4 or 5 people that were strongly related to the FBI. We have to find out about that. We have to find out about Hezbollah. We have to find out about who exactly was in that whole thing, because people that did some bad things were not prosecuted. You know, I see it all the time, and you see it too. People that were doing some bad things weren't prosecuted, and people that didn't even walk into the building are in jail right now. So we'll be looking at the whole thing, but I'll be making major pardons. Yes, please. Please.
On Jack Smith's report.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. It's good to see you again. 2 questions about Syria and the ongoing war in Gaza. About Syria, the Pentagon disclosed last month the U.S. has some 2,000 troops in Syria. That's almost double the number initially we were told of 900. Will you keep that troop capacity the same upon taking
Well, I won't tell you that because that's part of a military strategy, but I will say it was Turkey. Turkey's been after that country in different names and different forms and shapes for 2,000 years. Those people that went in are from Turkey. And President Erdogan is a friend of mine. He's a guy I like, respect. I think he respects me also. He's the one that didn't go after certain people after I requested that he not. You know who I'm talking about, the Kurds. I don't know how long that's going to, because they're natural enemies. They hate each other. But he didn't do that yet. And he didn't do it in the past also. He started and I said, please don't do that. And he didn't do it. So, but if you look at what happened with Syria, Russia was weakened. Iran was weakened. And he's a very smart guy. And he sent his people in there through different forms and different names, and they went in and they took over, and that's the way it is.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Do you have concerns about HTS taking control of
By the way, I have the envoy here. Is that in the back? It is. Standing with my son, Eric, is Steve Witkoff, who's just got back from the Middle East, and he's done a fantastic job. He's a great deal maker. I said, what we need there is a deal maker, because nobody makes a deal. We have people that understand where the rivers are and where the meets and bounds are, but they can't talk. They can't make deals. Steve's done a great job. I just want to thank you, Steve. You've been working endlessly for months, and he's working specifically on the hostages, trying to get them back.
Well, that was my second question is Hamas.
Steve, come up for a second. Maybe you might want to say a couple of words.
Sir,
I didn't know Steve was going to be here, actually.
Neither did I.
He's done a fantastic job, and it's a dangerous job, too, and we appreciate it. He didn't know about this kind of danger and the other deal-making he does. Now he sees a lot of big danger. Come on up, Steve.
Mr. President, can I ask you a second part of that? Hamas released
just one
another
second,
hostage
please.
video.
I'm going to give you a little report on the hostages, if I can, Steve. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Wow. Well, I think we're making a lot of progress, and I don't want to say too much because I think they're doing a really good job back in Doha. I'm leaving tomorrow back to go to Doha, but I think that we've had some really great progress, and I'm really hopeful that by the inaugural, we'll have some good things to announce on behalf of the president. I actually believe that we're working in tandem in a really good way, but it's the president, his reputation, the things that he has said that are driving this negotiation, and so hopefully it'll all work out and we'll save some lives. I believe we've been on the verge of it. I don't want to discuss sort of what's delayed it. There's no point to be negative in any way. But I think it's the president, his stature, what he said he expects, the red lines he's put out there, that's driving this negotiation. I'm going back probably either this evening or tomorrow night.
Are you confident there'll be a deal before January 20th, or is that something that's likely to happen? If there's a deal even at all, we've been hearing this now for the better part of.
I know. I would say.
They better be.
Right. I would say that the president is exasperated. I don't want to talk for him, but look, I don't know anyone who delegates better than President Trump. He gives us a lot of authority to speak on his behalf, and he exhorts us to speak emphatically. And emphatically means you better do this, because the alternative.
Do you think they're waiting for President Trump to take office?
No, I think they heard him loud and clear. Better get done by the inaugural.
But when you say all hell will be
Before I
paid,
take office.
that all hell must be paid if they don't release the
You know what that
hostages.
means, don't you?
Well,
Do I have to define it for you? Look, all
No, I know
hell
you're not
will
gonna
break out.
telegraph
If
what-
those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East. And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is. And they should have given them back a long time. They should have never
heads
taken.
are exploding.
They should have never been the attack of October 7th. People forget that. But there was, and many people are killed. They're no longer hostages.
Wow.
I have people from Israel and others calling, begging me to get, we had also people there from the United States, just so you know. They're holding some so-called hostages from the U.S. But I've had mothers come to me and fathers crying, can I get the body of their son back? Can I get the body of their daughter back? That beautiful
Wow.
girl where they threw her in the car,
Wow.
pulled her by her ponytail and threw her in the car like she was a sack of potatoes. I said, what happened to her? Sir, she's dead. Like a 19, 20-year-old beautiful girl. And the way they treated her. And I just say it this very simply. Steve's got a job to do. He's a great guy, great negotiator, great person. They respect him over there already. It's what we needed over there. We have people that know everything about the Middle East, but they can't speak properly. They don't know. He's a great negotiator. That's what I needed. I could have sent that gentleman right over there, Hussein. He's a great negotiator. There are people, they're rare. Great negotiators are very rare, like a great surgeon. But we have the right person. But I tell this, I don't want to hurt the negotiation. If the deal isn't done before I take office, which is now going to be 2 weeks, all hell will break out in the Middle East. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. President.
You've done a great job.
Thank you.
More than 140 police officers were injured by rioters on January 6th. Will you pardon anyone who attacked a police officer?
Well, the only one that was killed was a beautiful young lady named Ashley Babbitt. She was killed, and there was actually somebody else that was killed, also a MAGA person, but people don't give it 100% credibility. I'm going to find out about it, and we're going to find out. But Ashley Babbitt was killed. She was shot. Should have never been shot. She was shot for no reason whatsoever. In fact, they say that she was trying to hold back the crowd, and the crowd was made up of a lot of different people, so we'll see. But I will tell you this, the person that was killed was Ashley Babbitt. The other thing is, when they talk, there was never charges of insurrection or anything like that. But if there were, this would be the only insurrection in history where people went in as insurrectionists with not one gun. Okay? And let me tell you, the people that you're talking about have a lot of guns in their home for hunting and for shooting and for entertainment, a lot of good reasons. But there wasn't one gun that they found. And why didn't they find the bomber, the pipe bomber? They know who the pipe bomber is. The FBI knows who it is. The status of the FBI has gone down so far, and the status of the DOJ, or as I call it, the Department of Justice, it's the Department of Injustice, being laughed at all over the world. And hopefully with Pam Bondi and with Kash Patel and with other people that we're putting in, that will all come back. If you do a poll in the FBI, I guarantee I'm at like 90% with the agents of the FBI, but they have hurt that incredible place. Law enforcement, you think of the FBI, they raided this house. By the way, they could have told me, could I see this? I would have given them, I actually told them, come in anytime you want. You can see anything. They raided the house and the case was dismissed. And now I'm in litigation. I'm suing them for doing that. And I feel so badly doing it. I'm the president of the United States and I'm suing the United States, but I'm suing them for other things too. The FBI has gone so, its reputation has been so horribly hurt between Comey, who is the worst, and all of the others. What's happened to the FBI is, and we're going to make it great again. We're going to make the FBI great again. We're going to make the Department of Justice fair and strong, but fair again. Because all they did was attack me because I'm their political opponent. And that includes with local judges like Marshawn. You ought to find out. Ask them, why do I have a gag order where I'm not allowed to speak? Think of it. I'm the president of the United States, and I'm not allowed to speak. Why? Because if I did speak, people would understand the scam. It's a scam. And we have very dishonest judges, and New York judges are very bad. We had one that valued this house at $18 million because it was good for their case. He actually valued that chandelier is worth more than $18 million. He valued this house as $18 million. And we have another one who was so nasty, so horrible, such a brute, a most vicious, vile person. And these are New York judges. But we've won most of the cases, so we're very happy about that. Please.
Back on Greenland, your position is clear, but have you directed your staff to take specific actions to draw plans? And can you elaborate again? You didn't rule out military coercion.
Well, we need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time, long before I even ran. I mean, people have been talking about it for a long time. You have approximately 45,000 people there. People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it. But if they do, they should give it up because we need it for national security. That's for the free world. I'm talking about protecting the free world. You look at, you don't even need binoculars. You look outside, you have China ships all over the place. You have Russian ships all over the place. We're not letting that happen. We're not letting it happen. And if Denmark wants to get to a conclusion, but nobody knows if they even have any right, title, or interest. The people are going to probably vote for independence or to come into the United States. But if they did do that, then I would tariff Denmark at a very high level.
Have you asked your staff to draw plans for acquisition? I mean, are you active?
No, we're not at that stage, but we have people. I haven't even entered office yet.
Secondly, sir, Elon Musk has drawn some criticism and a lot of attention for some of his actions and provocative statements about foreign affairs, including in Europe. Your reaction to that, is that appropriate for...
You mean where he likes people that tended to be conservative? I don't know the people. I can say Elon's doing a good job, very smart guy. I don't know the people you're talking about. He was, I know he said some negative things about a couple of people that are running for office, but that's not so unusual. Yes, please.
I wanted to ask you about Ukraine and Putin. How soon do you anticipate going to meet with Putin to discuss the Ukraine situation?
Well, I can't tell you that, but I know that Putin would like to meet. I don't think it's appropriate that I meet until after the 20th, which I hate, because, you know, every day people are being, many young people are being killed, soldiers. You know, the land is very flat. And hundreds of thousands of soldiers from many hundreds of thousands from each side are dead. And they're laying in fields all over the place. Nobody to even collect. There's landmines all over. It's a disaster. But it's very flat. It's great. It's farmland. And it's very, very flat. And the only thing that stops a bullet is the human body. And the human body is stopping a lot of bullets.
Within the first 3 to 6 months?
I hope to have 6 months.
First 3 to 6 months.
No, I hope long before 6 months. Look, Russia's losing a lot of young people, and so is Ukraine. And it should have never been started. That's a war that should have never happened. I guarantee you, if I were president, that war would have never happened.
Who would you like to nominate to replace Michael Barr as vice chair of the military?
I'll be announcing somebody.
If we were to work under the assumption that you're serious about making Canada 51st state of the United States, the leader of the Conservative Party in Canada said, under no circumstance will it ever be the 51st state.
Maybe he won't win, but maybe he will. I don't
point, you had suggested
Listen, I don't care what he says.
But Sir Lopez, you said you were considering military force to acquire Panama and Greenland. Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire Canada?
No, economic force. Because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada. But here's the problem with Canada. So many friends up there. I love the Canadian people. They're great. But we're spending hundreds of billions a year to protect it. We're spending hundreds of billions a year to take care of Canada. We lose in trade deficits. We're losing massive. We don't need their cars. You know, they make 20% of our cars. We don't need that. I'd rather make them in Detroit. We don't need the cars. We don't need their lumber. We have massive fields of lumber. We don't need their lumber. We have to unrestrict them because stupid people put, restrictions on, but I can do that with an executive order. We don't need anything they have. We don't need their dairy products. We have more than they have. We don't need anything. So why are we losing $200 billion a year and more to protect Canada? And I said that to, as I called him, Governor Trudeau. I said, listen, what would happen if we didn't subsidize you, if we didn't, because we give them a lot of money. We help them. As an example, we're buying icebreakers, and Canada wants to join us in the buying of icebreakers. I said, we don't really want to have a partner in the buying of icebreakers. We don't need a partner. But no right. Nope. No right. Here's what we have. We have a right not to help them with their financial difficulties because we owe $36 trillion too. We're going to start knocking it out pretty fast, but we're going to be able to do it because of energy and other things. But no right. No right. But why are we supporting a country, $200 billion plus a year? Our military is at their disposal. All of these other things, they should be a state. That's why I told Trudeau when he came down, I said, what would happen if we didn't do it? He said Canada would dissolve. Canada wouldn't be able to function if we didn't take their 20% of our car market. They send us hundreds of thousands of cars. They make a lot of money with that. They send us a lot of other things that we don't need. We don't need their cars, and we don't need the other products. We don't need their milk. We get a lot of milk. We get a lot of everything, and we don't need any of it. So I said to him, well, why are we doing it? He said, I don't really know. He was unable to answer the question, but I can answer it. We're doing it because of habit, and we're doing it because we like our neighbors, and we've been good neighbors, but we can't do it forever, and it's a tremendous amount of money. And why should we have a $200 billion deficit and add on to that many, many other things that we give them in terms of subsidy? And I said, that's okay to have if you're a state. But if you're another country, we don't want to have it. We're not going to have it with European Union either. European Union, we have a trade deficit of $350 billion. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm product. They don't take anything. And so we're not going to have it with them either. Brian, go ahead.
Yes. Happy New Year, by the way.
Thank you.
We have some breaking news. You may not be aware of this, but it looks like Canon has blocked the DOJ from releasing the Smith's report until further court proceedings. Get your thoughts on that.
That's a big story.
Yeah.
So, if I get it right, the fake witch hunt started by the DOJ having to do with books and records, and Biden had many more, and he wasn't protected by the Presidential Records Act, I was. But all of that fake stuff that took the lives of people, I mean, literally destroyed people. People are destroyed because of what they did. Destroyed. But we got to be president. But Biden did it for 40 years. He did it when he was a senator. That was illegal. And they ruled it was illegal. How about that? They said, it's illegal, but he's unfit to stand trial. So he can stand and be president of the United States, but the prosecutor found that he's unfit for trial. I was going to use that as a major talking point, but I never got to use it because all of a sudden I had a new candidate who was also sort of unfit to stand trial, right? But so what you're saying is that the judge just blocked the, so Cannon was thrown off the case. They dropped their appeal because he had no case. They dropped all of that, the lawsuits against us. They lost the lawsuit. So this is deranged Jack Smith. So he dropped the lawsuits. He was told to by the DOJ because they had no lawsuit. They lost in court in front of a very strong and a very brilliant judge. They lost in court, and that pertained to other cases in other courts. So he wanted to do a report just before I take office, probably. So he'll do like a 500-page report, and it'll be a fake report, just like the investigation was a fake investigation. And I said, well, wait a minute. This guy was thrown off in disgrace. In disgrace. He's going back to The Hague or wherever they're going to send him. In disgrace. because he failed so badly, because it was a fake case against a political opponent. They thought they were going to use this to beat me. So what you're saying is I'm just hearing that they're not allowed to issue the report. So if they're not allowed to issue the report, that's the way it should be, because he was thrown off the case in disgrace. Why should he be allowed to write a fake report? It'll only be a fake report. That's great news. Good.
And if I can just follow up real quickly, you want to comment, many Americans are angry that we're sending millions of dollars every month to the Taliban. Do you anticipate?
It's not even believable. Billions of dollars, not millions, billions. We pay billions of dollars to essentially the Taliban, Afghanistan. And that's given by Biden. That's the same man that took away $50 to $60 trillion worth of value from the United States. Think of it, probably our most valuable asset. Took away our most valuable asset. This can't be allowed to happen. We are now a nation of common sense. When he does that, 625 million acres, this can't be allowed to happen. Thank you for the information.
Yes, sir.
Most other people probably knew about it, but they wouldn't have told me, right?
Mr. President, on the campaign trail, you vowed to bring down the prices at grocery stores very fast.
Yeah, we will do it
But then
fast.
you recently told Time Magazine that bringing down prices would be very hard. So what can the American people expect when you get into office?
It's always
When
hard to
can they
bring
go
down
the
prices when
grocery
somebody
store?
else has screwed something up like they did. But we'll bring them down. We'll get them down. Energy is going to bring down prices. We're going to have a lot of energy, and energy is what brought it up. Energy and their bad spending is what brought it up, and energy is going to bring it down. We're going to have prices down. I think you're going to see some pretty drastic price reductions. As an example, food, bacon, ham, apples, everything has gone through the roof. It's one of the reasons I won. So as you know, I said it, inflation was one of the reasons I won, but I think the biggest reason I won was the fact that they are allowing prisoners to come into our country. They released their prisoners, their murderers. Thousands of murderers are now walking around the streets of our cities and farmland all over. Murders, people that have killed. Many, 32% have killed more than one person. They released them from their jails, their prisons, and their mental institutions and insane asylums into our country. I believe that's the reason we got such a large vote. All right, maybe one or two more questions. Yeah, please, go ahead. Go ahead, you go.
Sir, can you, President Carter is laying in state today in Washington. You had some harsh words for him about the Panama Canal. Is there any disconnect there? Do you feel a little bit bad about doing that on this day?
No, I liked him as a man. I disagreed with his policy. So, hey, he thought giving away the Panama Canal was a good thing. I think it cost him the election. That and the hostages. I actually think that was a bigger factor because that's a deal that just should not have been made. But again, this was a question that was asked of me. I didn't bring it up. I didn't want to bring up the Panama Canal because of Jimmy Carter's death. But people don't bring it up. But, you and other people have asked me about it. No, it's a deal that I was very strongly against. I was a young guy when this took place. But just why would we spend all of that money, lose 38,000 people to malaria, the mosquito? They were dying. It was horrible what was happening. They paid them 4 times more than they would make in the United States, but they knew they were going to go over there and die. And they died in the jungles of malaria. There was nothing we could do to stop it. 38,000, and then we gave it away for $1.
Agenda through Congress. You appeared to open the door in your radio interview yesterday for a 2-bill approach. Is it still your preference for one big, beautiful bill, as you have said?
Well, I like one big, beautiful bill, and I always have, I always will. But if 2 is more certain, it does go a little bit quicker because you can do the immigration stuff early. Now, you have to understand, for immigration and for the wall, we won the case on the wall. They tried to sell the wall for 5 cents on the dollar, by the way. And we had, fortunately, a judge that stopped that, but they were already discarding the wall. And 5 cents on the dollar, and you know what they were doing? They were calling us up and saying, we'll sell it back to you at 200 cents. In other words, double what we paid for it. So they were going to buy it from this guy for 5 cents on the dollar. They were making deals. And fortunately, we had a very smart judge that stopped it cold. I think he called for an investigation, too, and he should. But think of it. They were selling the wall that was exactly the wall that the Border Patrol wanted. That was designed by them. Steel, concrete, rebar, exactly as they want. Very, very heavy steel, very powerful steel, hard to cut. Very, very heavy, 7,000-pound concrete, which is a very strong concrete. Everything was top of the line. Very expensive, would be double what we paid for it then, 6 years ago. But let me just tell you, they were selling it for 5 cents on the dollar to people, and those people were calling us, asking us to pay them 200 cents because it's a good deal because we can have it immediately. And you know what immediately is? Just leave it in place. No, the papers haven't written that, though. That deal is like all the other things that these people do. These people either hate our country or they're very stupid. And I don't believe they're stupid because nobody can cheat on elections like they cheat and be stupid. They either hate our country or they're stupid. So remember what I said, because nobody wants to report it. They were selling the wall for 5 cents on the dollar and trying to resell it back to us for 200 cents or less, but for 200 cents on the dollar. That's a nice return.
Meta announced that it will stop putting fact checks on posts on its website. And Meta said today it would stop putting fact checks on its website and instead allow community.
Well, I watched their news conference, and I thought it was a very good news conference. I think they've come a long way. Meta, Facebook. I think they've come a long way. I watched it. The man was very impressive. I watched it. Actually, I watched it on Fox. I'm not allowed to say that. Say it?
Do you think he's directly responding to the threats that you have made to him in the past? With
Probably. Yeah, probably.
The last time you were here, you were asked a question about the U.S. possibly launching a preemptive strike on Iran. You said you wouldn't answer that question.
On who?
Obviously, on Iran. The U.S. launching a preemptive strike on Iran's nuclear facilities.
And I said, I don't talk about it. It's a military strategy.
But it is a legitimate question.
Well, it's not really, because only a stupid person would answer it. Look, it's a military strategy, and I'm not answering your questions on military strategy. All right, one more. Brian, go ahead. Brian.
Could you give us a preview of what you might be talking to leaders of Congress who are expected to come here in the next couple of days? And you've got a very supportive Congress behind you.
Yeah, they're great. So we have a wonderful Republican Congress. We have a leader that I have a lot of confidence in. I think he's going to be hopefully a great leader, a great speaker. And we have a leader, by the way, in the Senate I think has been great. John Thune has been doing a fantastic job. But it goes through the House first. And the question is whether or not we do the 2 bills or 1 bill. And, look, I can live either way. I like the idea of the one big bill, but I can live either way. But they'll be coming down. The senators also will be coming down. And then ultimately we'll be meeting in the White House in a few weeks. But right now this is the winter season. They sort of call this the winter White House. It was built, I don't know if you know this, Marjorie Meriwether Post and E.F. Hutton built this. It was the greatest of all the estates in our country. And I saved it, and I got a lot of credit for saving it. Most of these big, great houses have been knocked down in Palm Beach, just about all of them, actually. And they, you build 10 mansions on one site, but we saved it. But this was built as the Southern White House, and she gave it to the government. And, by the way, Jimmy Carter gave it back. He said it's too expensive for the United States. So I didn't realize that.
Real quick, I was just told.
Actually, Jimmy Carter, Nixon was through Watergate. He came down. Nixon came here once. And he thought it was incredible, but he had a thing called Watergate, if anybody remembers that. And so he had other things on his mind, to put it mildly. And Jimmy Carter felt that it was too extravagant for the country. So fortunately for me, he gave it back to the foundation, and I bought it from the foundation.
President, on reconciliation, some Republicans saying in trade for a massive bill that you and they share the interest in, they want to see big spending cuts. Do you agree with that? And
Well, I'm okay with spending cuts. I like spending cuts. I'm on the record for spending cuts. And the debt ceiling was given to us. It shouldn't have been, but it was put in our lap. And what I want in terms of debt ceiling isn't the ceiling. I just don't want to see a default. That's all I want. I never talked about spending more money necessarily than all I want to see is no default. Because nobody knows what would happen if there was a default. It could be 1929 and it could be nothing. But that was put into our lap. And it shouldn't have been, but it was. And so we'll handle it. But debt ceiling is not about raising a lot of money. It's really just about extending it. I just want to see an extension.
Sir, on immigration, How much can you do by executive order, are you planning to do on executive order when it comes to immigration? And how much do you want Congress to tackle this issue? And also on day one,
Well, I had the
what
safest
executive
border
orders are you
in the history of our
planning?
country by far. You remember the famous chart that I brought down. I love that chart very much for a lot of reasons. But I have the safest border by far in the history of our country. And when I took it over, it was a mess. Nothing like it is now. This is 10 times worse. When I got elected because of the border the first time, and I think I got elected largely because of the border the third time. And the second time I did equally well. Well, not as well as the last time, but I did very well. And I will say, this was too big to rig. You know the expression? Too big to rig. They couldn't do it. They tried, but they couldn't do it. I didn't get very much from Congress at all. I just said that we're being invaded, and I took the money out of the military. Much of the wall, I built over 500 miles of wall. Much of that wall was built through money that I put into the military. We took it out because we couldn't get things from Congress in those days, and we took it out. And that wall was built largely with money coming from the military. So, very simple. I went to the military, I said, our country is being invaded by very similar, nothing like what's invading our country now. They weren't releasing prisons into our country, and they weren't releasing mental institutions in, but some bad dudes were coming in, right? And I said, our country is being invaded. And I took that money largely from the military. I was sued 9 times by the Democrats in Congress, and I won all those suits. And we ended up building 571 miles of wall. Once that wall was built, they start going around it. So we're going to add another 200. That would have been up in 3 weeks. And then we had a very unfortunate election result. And they said, we don't want to put it up. We'll sell it. And they started selling it for 5 cents on the dollar. What a second. So we'll do this again. I just want to thank everybody very much. I'm just telling you, this will be the golden age of America. This is the golden age of America. We're going to have a great country again. We're a country right now under siege. We have so many different problems, and nobody respects us overseas, but now they do. The Italian prime minister, as you know, came here the other night, just flew in and flew out. She wanted to see me. And great respect is being shown when I went to the cathedral in France. Great respect was shown by the prime minister, the president, by everybody. France was, and by the way, I have to say they did a great job in the cathedral. But great respect is being shown to our country again. And we have a great country, but we have to run it properly. It's going to be run properly. We want to get back those hostages for Israel and for us. You know, we do have people that are hostages being held. And I'll just say it again. If this deal's not done with the people representing our nation, by the time I get to office, all hell is going to break out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You've been.
So, you know what I call that? Let me tell you what I just call that press conference. Can I tell you?
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
Wow, 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 wow. Man spoke for a little over an hour or so, hour and 15 minutes, and he brought the heat. I mean, he brought some serious heat. They not ready for this. Oh, no. I think right away, every reporter there and every reporter back at the network better hit the gym. Better start doing pumping some iron with the microphones or something. Get your act together. You ain't ready for this. You definitely, after going through 4 years of Biden and, little, what's her name, Karine Jean-Pierre, you ain't ready for this. This man didn't have a teleprompter. Didn't have any cue cards. Fred, what's your question? I already know it. Just remind me. Yeah, that's right. Okay, here's the answer. Oh, no, bring it. Whatever you got, bring it. But understand, you might not like the answer. My favorite one was, actually I had 2 favorites. hey, do you think that Zuckerberg and Facebook decided to, basically change things because of your threats? Probably. Straight up. Probably. Y'all listening here? YouTube? He's coming for you. The other big question, which I'm pretty sure soiled some underwear at the press conference. So would you rule out military or economic coercion or force in regards to Greenland or the Panama Canal? Nope. Boom. You know that they don't expect to hear truth. They expect to be lied to. What else did he cover? Let's see. He's not playing their gotcha question games. There are no gotcha questions. In fact, oh, by the way, let me bring up the guy in the back there. I'm going to bring him up. You don't even know who he is, so it's going to be hard for you to answer any questions, but let me tell you what he's already been doing. But you're not president. I don't care. I'm already doing it, man. I'm already on the job. You may not realize it. Some of your friends over there may not realize it, but we're already on the job here. My son's in Greenland. Steve Witkoff, he's over there negotiating hostages. Did I tell you if they don't get this done, by the time I take office, there's going to be hell to pay? Okay, let me just tell you right now. Steve, tell them what's going on. Blah, 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 blah. Did I tell you if they don't get it done by January 20th, there's going to be hell to pay? And then at the end, oh, by the way, before I leave, did I tell you that if they don't release the hostages by January 20th, there's going to be hell to pay? Right now, if I'm an Ayatollah Asahola over there, I'm pooping my pants. Get these bodies, do whatever you need to do. This guy's crazy. He's going to blow us to smithereens. Or at least he's threatening, and he doesn't look like he's joking. So if you want to play some bluff your hand and some, Texas Hold'em, go for it. What else did he say? Oh, all they want to talk about is the January 6th pardon, January 6th. And he said the line. He said the line I've been saying to you. I said it yesterday. He just completely obliterated them. No one, not one person, has been charged with insurrection. Not one. No one. No one. So it just completely blew that entire thing out. You guys can talk about it all you want. Nobody cares. I won in a landslide. It ain't working. You can try to do all your stuff. Oh, by the way, we got some breaking news, Prez. What's the breaking news? Oh, Eileen Cannon, judge out of Florida, told Jack Smith to go pound it. I didn't know that. I knew it was coming because he ain't got nothing. So let me take you to that breaking news right now. Breaking, as you heard, Judge Cannon has blocked Crooked Jack Smith from releasing his report on the witch hunt. So he says he's temporarily enjoined, meaning, he could, but it won't happen because, you know why? He won't be there. As of January 20th, he won't have a job, so it ain't going nowhere. And that's it. The clerk is directed to promptly transmit a copy of this order to the Attorney General, Garland, Special Counsel Smith, the United States Attorney's Office. Let them all know it's over. It's done. Quit playing your stupid games, and I won't have to issue these judgments as stupid prizes. No, you're not releasing it. Go on vacation, do whatever you need to do. Daddy's home, and he's pissed. So in a little span of about hour and 45 minutes, you guys got some huge wins already. You learn what it's going to be like for the next 4 years. You realize the difference of someone who's got some sort of wit behind him, who can talk to this press, and not only just talk to the press, but make them look silly. Like I said, you need to go train. You need to get your shit together. You need to make sure you're ready. Don't waste this man's time. He will make you look stupid. Don't think you're embarrassing him. Oh, you might use military force? Yeah. It doesn't even compute in their minds. just loved it. Yeah, happy days are here to stay. Absolutely. Oh man, it's let the lawsuits begin. Oh, they're gonna run to every court that they possibly can. Open Mind says, I can't wait. It's this is just the beginning. It's January 7th. We got 13 more days. I would expect that we're going to see this a lot. In fact, he actually said it. Well, we're going to do this again. We're going to do this a whole lot. We're going to let the world know. By the way, the first guy he brought on, I'm going to have to look up his name. Did you catch that by chance? Did you catch who Trump is doing business with? I'll wait. You have to rewind it. I don't know who the guy is, but he's bringing in $20 billion. I knew his name was Hussein. So I'm telling you right now, the idiot earlier who said I was swinging to the left suddenly, oh no, I just know where this man is going. I understand the big, giant tent that he wants to build and how he wants to bring as many people under that tent as possible. He just announced a $20 billion investment with some guy named Hussein. He says, and they asked him, hey, what about this Zuckerberg thing? You think he caved to your threat? Probably. He doesn't care. You either do it by, a handshake or you do it by force. Either way, you're going to work with me. So over the next 4 years, many of you hardliners who are worried about, oh my God, he may reach across the aisle. I don't think he's reaching across the aisle. He's going to give you the opportunity. You want to come over here, or I'm going to mow you down. That's it. You can get on, or the train's going to run over you. And it's going to go for people on the left and people on the crazy far right. This is a MAGA train. And this train has a lot of room on it, but you got to get on it and stop with all the BS. He's building a better future for America. If you don't know that by now, if you went through the entirety of the campaign and you saw all the people he was coalescing with, Elon, which, by the way, one of the reporters tried to shame Elon. The guy's like, yeah, I don't care. He basically told the reporter, he took the guy took a swipe at him, he swiped him back. That's what's going to happen. That's what big boys do. You take a swing at me, I'm going to hit you back. F your decorum. Don't go up against the big dog if you're not expecting to get bit. Just tiptoe past and shut the F up. But if you want to slap somebody, that playtime with Biden's administration is over. You take a shot at someone in this administration, they're gonna hit you back harder. So I have no apologies for anything I've been saying about the H-1B or any of this other stuff, because I've covered this guy enough now. I think I've earned my wings where I understand his mindset. You guys have seen it. I told you, hey, he's going to do this. And then all of a sudden, next day, he does it. Hey, I told you before here, he's going to talk about Zuckerberg. He's going to say, yeah, okay, let's do it. I've watched him too many hours. I've read too much of what he writes. I've read his books. I know his mindset. He's a take no shit guy. I want to get stuff done. And you're either going to be a part of this administration and what I'm doing, or you're not. It's really that simple. No time for whine. This dude does not like whiners. Does not like excuses. Do you know that guy Steve Witkoff, who he's got dispatched over there dealing with Hamas? Steve Witkoff's a billionaire in his own right, and he's out there working for the boss. Steve Witkoff could run many big Fortune 500 companies, and he's out there working on behalf of the boss. And y'all worried about crap? Nah, I'm telling you. If today on January 7th you got people thinking I've turned left, you might as well go ahead and run. Because this train is going to run people down on both sides if they don't get on it. You got one choice. Either get on it, enjoy it, or not. You can see it. You can see this man when he talks. Not only does he talk with authority, he talks with an I don't care attitude. If you don't like it, F off. That's your president. That's who you voted for. That's why world leaders are like, hey man, what are we going to do? This guy's not like the others. There's something different here. He's built different. Yeah, that's why this man stood up, took a bullet for you, and you got people questioning him? I ain't got time for that. Nah. Yeah, CNN is big mad at Elon for exposing what's going on in the UK. Yeah, all of it's going to be exposed. All of it. We can't fix this country if people don't realize what you have to do. Trump is making it so easy to follow him on this mission. And you know why he's making it so easy? Transparency. You know, he's not going to divulge military secrets, obviously, or military plans. But the man stood up at that podium and 3 separate times, maybe 4, told these people over the Middle East, you got 13 days. You have to, you remember, he ain't going through Congress. If I would be terrified if I were them. The man is giving you enough warning. Don't get to January 20th and not have those people back. So now you know what's going to happen. Put yourself in Trump's mindset and think to yourself, what's going to happen? Well, somewhere about January 15th or 16th, you're going to start seeing bodies come back, unfortunately. But you're going to start seeing these things come back. You're going to see them reach out and go, hey, hold on, we're trying to find them. We're going to get as many as possible. Can you hold off on nuking us on January 20th? All right, let me see what you got. You can see the media freaking out. You had the media freaking out today because he's calling about the Panama Canal and he's talking about Jimmy Carter being the worst president while the guy's on a slab getting ready to get buried. And people are like, would you really want to be talking about Jimmy Carter, you know, as he's dying, as he's getting buried? What difference does it make? The dude ain't here. He hasn't been here for quite some time, but it's the truth. He gave away the Panama Canal. Should we not talk about it? Oh my God, because today's his something, funeral, whatever. No, it's the truth. I ain't got time for this. No time. We got to fix this country. And these lib nuts in the media don't seem to understand what the heck is about to happen. So you're going to see on CNN, if you watch it, or MSNBC, Trump was so mean today, and he's so this, and he's so that, because they haven't learned. They haven't learned anything. November 5th was a mirage to them. And I never thought we'd ever get to the point where we'd begin to think that people on the right, maybe some of them, are in as bad a shape as the people on the left. Get your act in gear. Get out there on X. Get out there on Facebook. Talk to everybody and basically do some MAGA prophetization. How do you say the word? Proselytize. Be a MAGA proselytizer. Get out there and say, everybody, this is what a president does. Share the clips. This is what America's supposed to be. Talk to people. Don't have time for the morons. That's why we were deleting trolls today. Bye. Bye. Go someplace else. Ain't got time to talk to you. Not here to convince you. You're a troll. However you want to talk, we can talk. Raise the flag. It's the 3rd time Jimmy Carter died, somebody said. Zero was worse than Carter. Trump don't like mid-flag on January 20th. He's going to raise it. Spread the word. Get it out there. I would love to see Whoopi Goldberg's face about now on The View. Oh, yeah. I'm exaggerating Trump. If you feel that way, if you feel it's an exaggeration, you'll see. That's all I can say. Barry, right on, you got it. Man, I'm just pumped. I mean, I am so tired of what we went through for the last 4 years. That one press conference is different than anything any of you have seen in the last 4 years. And that's no exaggeration. If you can find me the archives of any press conference where Joe Biden sat up in front of a crowd and just picked people one at a time with no teleprompter and no notes, I will say I'm wrong. You can go all the way back to when he supposedly still had his marbles. It didn't happen. This is a different environment completely, and it's going to continue. Remember, he's not even in office yet. So you know there's a lot more coming. It's a lot more. Yeah, wait till he starts the deportations. They're going to lose it. It's going to be glorious, delicious. We'll be able to watch some of this stuff that's happening. All right, so I'm going to go save my voice because I want to do my show at 3:30 because there's probably going to be a lot to talk about. And then, of course, let me do this real quick. So let me tell you this. We're quickly. Okay, here. Go ahead to enter a hoodie tonight. We'll give out hoodies. Go to fanfareshop.org and give out. We're going to give out hoodies tonight. Go ahead and go to fanfareshop.org/group as we're closely getting close to 13,000 people at this point. And let me go ahead and take a moment and talk about one of my sponsors. And let me do this, hit the button. I want to take a minute. I want to take a minute and stop and address parents with something very important. As President Trump prepares for his second term, he said he wants to teach our kids to love our country, reversing radical anti-American rhetoric that our kids are hearing in classrooms across the country. The best place for kids to start is to learn all about President Trump and his vision to make America great again during his second term. That's why Mike Huckabee's team put together the Kids Guide to President Trump Victory Edition. And to celebrate President Trump's return to the White House, they're giving it away for free. This book is great because it features fun illustrations and content teaching kids all about President Trump's accomplishments and his goals for the second term. Mike Huckabee wants to send your family this free guide so you can teach your kids the truth about President Trump and his mission to make America great again. But please hurry because supplies are limited. You can claim your free kids guide to President Trump Victory Edition for your kids right now. See offer details and order your free guide at kidstrumpguide.com. That's kidstrumpguide.com, or you can just take a shot of the QR code and it will take you there. kidstrumpguide.com. All right, everybody. Let me go ahead now and talk to some of you about the super chats. Belinda Lemon, my daughter Taryn, wants me to tell you that it's her birthday. She has Williams syndrome and is 31 today. We thank you and love you, and happy birthday to Taryn. Very happy birthday. And Belinda, again, thank you very much. Down here, D. Marie, we are so back. My heart swells with pride. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling. That's exactly how I'm feeling. Thanks, Barry, for all you do. Thanks, buddy. Thank you, Ed, very much. I am Planet Hermit. Cranial detonations detected. The libs are losing it. Oh, they got a long 4 years of that occurring, for sure. And I'm so here for it. I'm so here for it. This is from Lilia. 660, Barry's right. This is the unity Trump promised. I'm telling you, he kept saying it over and over and over again. Joy Kirkland. Hey, Joy. Hey, everybody. Glad to be back. Was visiting my grandbaby in West Virginia. Now, like Barry, getting over this crud. I missed you all. Thank you, Barry, Robin, Ashley, and Mods. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks getting over it, traveling and everything else. But, you know, excuse me. Many in the southern hemisphere will self-deport. I love this. Pinch me. Is this all real? Yeah, it's real. Greg says thanks for the Tim Ballard interview yesterday, and if you want to see that, that's only on Rumble because he says some things that are kind of rough. I mean, there were some people like, I can't take anymore. I can't. Enough right there. I can't go there. Yeah, you got to listen to that. Blue Nose says, I love the libs losing it. The boys are back in town. Yes. We're going to see some really good things over the next couple weeks. We just have to pray this man stays safe and gets there safely because there's no stopping MAGA. Just don't be part of the impediment. That's all I beg of you. If you don't like some of the things he's doing and you don't like some of the things he's saying, maybe just step off for a little while. Because right now we need full speed ahead. I see stuff where people say, I don't trust Zuckerberg. I'm not asking you to trust him. I'm sure Trump doesn't trust him. I don't need to trust you for you to do what you got to do. Stop censoring my people and let them talk. Because if you don't, I'm gonna take care of some business. He said it. You heard him. Do you think Zuckerberg acquiesced because of your threats? Probably. See, I don't need to trust Zuckerberg. I just need to trust Trump. And I'm pretty sure Zuckerberg trusted Trump. Because in order to take someone's threat seriously, you have to trust that they plan on executing on that threat. Think about that. If I do something because I'm worried you may do something with your threat, it means I trust that you're going to come after me. So I don't care whether Zuckerberg is trustworthy, just don't screw up anymore. And if you screw up, fess up. Hey, sorry that happened, let's see what we can do. These guys here on YouTube aren't going to have much of a choice. With Elon Musk trying to make X the next video platform, with Rumble rising up in everything, with the possibility of Rumble and X joining together to take on YouTube, YouTube's only survival mode is to acquiesce. You can write it down right now that I said that. If Elon buys Rumble, or they merge, or whatever, X becomes a part of Rumble, and they get their monetization fixed, these guys are toast. You'll be looking at cat videos, which maybe they're fine with. But all the advertisers will go to Rumble and X, because the eyeballs that actually have money. So, y'all need to get your shit together because Daddy's home and he's pissed as hell. I'll see you guys at 3:30.